Hello everyone. Today in this video we will be studying few of the very important interview questions which are based on software testing. So let's get started. The first question, what is the difference between project and product? So when this question is being asked, you should be able to give the answer as project. Project is something that is developed based on a specific requirement that is given by the customer. So what is basically a project? When the customer gives a specific requirement and we develop something on that, that is called as a project. And what do you mean by a product? Product is something like a ready to use solution provided by the company. Or you can also say that product is something that is developed based on the overall market need. So students, try to understand the difference that the project is what it is basically developed based on specific customer requirements. And what is a product? It is developed based on what is the market need right now. Pro- Project will have a specific timeline like start date and end date. Product does not have any timeline for end date. Project will have specific predictive planning, and product, it will have adaptive planning. Project is a one-time delivery. For example, HDFC, ICCI, Big Basket. These are what? These are the apps which are being developed based on the customer requirement. So it is a one-time delivery. But what is a product? Product is continuously improved. For example, your operating systems, MS Office, antivirus, etc. Let's move ahead. What is the difference between black box testing and white box testing? So white box testing, it is also called as clear box testing, structural testing, glass box testing, or code-based testing. While black box testing is called as behavioral testing, data-driven testing, or functional testing. So these are the other names for these two types of testing. White box testing is a software testing method which is used to test the internal structure of the build or a code, while black box testing is a software testing method which is used to test functionalities of the build without having any knowledge of the internal structure of the application. White box testing is generally done by the development team, while black box testing is done by the testing team. This is the very important difference here, that the white box testing is done by development team and black box testing is done by testing team. White box testing is considered as a low level testing and it mainly focuses on unit and integration testing, while black box testing is considered as a high level testing and it mainly focuses on system testing and user acceptance testing. White box testing is focused on structure of the code, paths or branches, while black box testing is focused on external or end user perspective. Different white box testing techniques are statement coverage, branch coverage, or path coverage, while different black box testings are BVA, that is boundary value analysis, ECP, equivalence class partitioning, error guessing, and state transition techniques. Also, cause effect graph. So students, remember, in white box testing, we test the internal structure of the build. And in black box testing, we basically test the functionalities of the build. I hope you are getting cleared. Next question, what are the different reasons for bugs in the software? The first and very important reason for finding out bugs in a software is miscommunication. Miscommunication is the most common reason for bugs in the application. The lack of communication or poor communication between the teams in different phases in the SDLC process can make defects unnoticed until development is complete. The next reason, poorly developed code. Sometimes poor development standards like miscalculated exceptions, errors, lack of proper validations on fields, boundaries may lead to bugs in the application. Next, insufficient time frame. At times, development teams have to compromise on certain things like designing, unit or integration techniques because of lack of time or a tight delivery schedule, which will lead to defects in the application. Next one, last minute change request. If we try to change anything like requirements, tool, platform, database, etc., at the end of the development process, there are chances that we might get bugs in the application. Next, unclear and complex requirements. The development team have to understand each and every requirement in order to develop them. Lack of clarity on the requirement may also lead to different kinds of bugs in the application. So these were few of the reasons why there are bugs in the application. Now, next question, what is software testing? Software testing is a process of verifying that the application, system, or build that was developed is fit to be used by the users. Software testing is the process of finding bugs in the developed product by comparing the expected results that we have with the actual results that we get from the applications. So, software testing is a process that we follow on the application that to check whether the developed application is fulfilling the requirements of the customer or client. This is very important here, that why do we perform software testing and what is software testing? It is a process that we follow on the application to check whether the developed application is fulfilling the requirements of the customer or the client. Software testing is a process of evaluating the application with the intent to find whether the developed software meet the requirement specification and to detect the bugs in the process. Now, moving ahead to the next question, what are the advantages and disadvantages of manual testing? First, we will see advantages of manual testing. Manual testing does not need any programming skill. Manual testing is easy to perform when compared to automation, which involves coding. Manual testing is done to decide whether automation is required or not. Manual testing will be the ideal testing approach for the dynamically changing GUI, graphical user interface. Manual testing will cost less as compared to automation testing. As manual testing involves humans, we will get accurate interface feedback. With manual testing, we will get exact replication of the user experience on the application. In manual testing, we will be able to handle complex use cases better than in automation testing. Manual testing is more reliable than automation. So these are the advantages of manual testing. Now let us see what are the disadvantages of manual testing. Manual testing requires more resources and time. It will be very difficult to perform performance testing. Executing all the test cases in every build manually will be a time-consuming and a tiresome task. Performing regression test manually will be time-consuming. It is difficult to find each and every minute GUI changes in manual testing. Okay, so these were the advantages and disadvantages of manual testing. Let's move ahead now. The next question is, what is the difference between test plan and test strategy? Now let's see what is the difference between a test strategy and a test plan. Test strategy is a high-level document that contains a set of guidelines which explains the test design and determine how testing needs to be done. While a test plan is a document that defines the scope and approach to test the application. So, what is a test strategy? It is a set of guidelines which explain the test design and how the testing needs to be done. While a test plan is what it defines the scope and approach to test the application, how we will be testing the application. Test strategy tells us what type of techniques to follow and what modules to be tested. Test plan tells us what to be tested, how to test, and when to test. This is very important, everyone. Test strategy, what it tells us what type of techniques to follow and what module to be tested. So in test strategy, it tells us what are the techniques which we will be followed and which modules we have to test. And in test plan, it tells us what to test, how to test, and when to test. Okay. Test strategy is derived from the FRS document, while test plan is derived from the SRS document. Test strategy is prepared by the project manager, while test plan is prepared by the test manager. Test strategy cannot be changed frequently. Test plans can be changed. We can use the same test strategy for multiple projects, but test plans will be at project level. Test strategy will be used as a part of test plan, while test plan is prepared individually. Okay, so these are the very basic difference between test strategy and the test plan. Moving ahead, the next question is, what is the difference between system testing and functional testing? Now let's see what is the difference between functional testing and system testing. Functional testing, also called as component testing, which focuses on testing every component of the application according to the requirement of the customer. Okay, and what is system testing? System testing is a level of testing which focuses on testing the entire application against the requirement of the customer. Functional testing focuses on individual components, while system testing focuses on entire application from start to finish. Functional testing comes under system testing, and system testing is a combination of functional and non-functional testing. I hope you are getting clear. Let's proceed further to the next question. What is the difference between static and dynamic testing? So first, static testing. Without doing any actions on the system, if we try to test the application, it is called as static testing. While as dynamic testing is what? By doing some actions on the system, if we try to test the application, it is called as dynamic testing. Static testing is also called as verification, while dynamic testing is called as validation. Static testing is done on the documents like FRS, design documents, source code, test plans, test cases, test script, and application content. While dynamic testing is done on the functionalities of the application. Different static testing types are inspections, walkthroughs, and reviews, while different dynamic testing techniques are unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. Static testing is performed at the early stages of SDLC, while dynamic testing is performed at the later stages of the SDLC. So everyone, what is static testing? If we are not giving any input to the system and we are testing the application, it would be called as static testing. While dynamic testing, by doing some actions on the system, if we try to test the application, it is called as dynamic testing. Let's move on to the next question. What is the difference between verification and validation? So let's see first what is verification. Verification, are we building the product right? So what is basically verification? Verification is basically checking, are we building the product right? And what is validation? Are we building the right product? The words are very important to keep in mind, everyone. Verification is used to check whether the application fulfills the given specifications, while validation is used to check whether the application is satisfying the requirements of the customer. So here, in verification, we are basically checking whether the application is fulfilling the given specifications of the customer or not. While in validation, we check whether the applications is satisfying the requirements of the customer. Verification is also called as static testing, while validation is called as dynamic testing. Verification does not involve any execution of the code, while validation involves execution of the code. Verification process check the documents, design, code, etc. by using the methods like reviews, walkthroughs, inspections, etc. While validation process tests the actual application by using the methods like Blackbox testing and Whitebox testings, etc. Verification process find bugs early in the SDLC. Validation process find bugs in the later stages of SDLC. It finds the bugs that are mostly missed in verification. So let's continue. What is the difference between QA and QC? QA is basically quality assurance and QC is quality control. So let us now see what is the difference between quality assurance and quality control. QA checks that the procedures and standards that we are following for the application development process is appropriate and are correctly executed. QC checks that the application is developed by following all the standards and procedure that needs to be followed and to identify the defects in the developed application. QA aims to prevent the defect bugs in the application, while QC aims to identify and fixing the defects or bugs in the application. QA does not involve execution of the functionalities of the build, while QC involves the execution of the functionalities. QA comes under the category of verification, while QC comes under the category of validation. QA is performed in almost every phase of SDLC and all the teams are responsible for this, while QC is the responsibility of testing team in the software testing lifecycle, STLC. QA is considered as low level and less time consuming activity, while QC is considered as high level and comparatively time consuming activity. So everyone, I hope you have understood all the very important interview question answers based on software testing. So this was a few of the very important questions. So we shall be ending this video for now. Thank you.